Yo, I'm an instrument for scientific purposes. I insist to be the best alchemist. You can't resist this ultra lab vocalist.
What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker. Thank you very much for liking, subscribing, and sharing to Unique Access Entertainment. We appreciate you guys' support, and please be sure to hit that subscribe button down there so we can keep coming to y'all with these interviews, man, with some of the icons and legends of the game. And today is no exception. We have the honor and privilege of being joined by the almighty Ced Gee from Ultramagnetic. So thank you for coming through, sir.
Peace, Mr. Baker. No problem.
Yeah, man. It's an honor, man. And shout out to Black Pegasus for connecting us and making sure that I had the Delta 5, the new video that's out right now. Everybody should watch it, stream it, support that online as well. And for one of the things I thought was interesting is Delta's obviously been a theme of, you know, work as Ultramagnetic, but then also on your own since the beginning, basically. So why is that something that you wanted to keep going with Delta 5?
Well, it's like an art project. You know, it's something that I love doing. You know, it brings a lot of pleasure to me. It makes me feel rewarded. So it's something I like doing, you know. That's why I get a lot out of it. And excuse me, and it's like now it's feels good that it's getting the attention that it's getting. Like I didn't really think it was gonna get that notice like that, but that's what life is. Life is full of unexpected things that happen. That's
for sure. And one of the other themes was the referencing was science and brain frequencies and all these different types of things. That's a hallmark of your lyrics as well. And one of the many things that we'll get into today, but that I've always enjoyed, was that you sonically and lyrically were willing to stretch things to new domains per se. So is that just a natural, how does that come? Is that a natural thing? Is that something you seek?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Delta is dealing with time once again. And when you're dealing with time, you can't get locked in a specific time. And that's what a lot of artists and fans even tend to do. They get locked and they can't move beyond. So that's why when you go through the series of Deltas, there's always a different approach. Even though on this one, I kind of went retro on the second verse, but there's always a different approach, you know, a different flow, you know. So it's just, I try to match time periods that don't exist, you know, that's maybe upcoming, you know. Like a kid in the year 2080 might pick up Delta 3, you know, and say, wow, this is hot, you know. So that's what it's about, you know. And that's been the thing with Ultramagnetic, is that the stuff kind of overlaps. Like the styles are never played out because it was never, you know, what people considered the norm. So therefore it can stand in any time period, you know.
Right. Well, that too, on since you mentioned the second verse in the flow on Delta 5, not only is it phenomenal, but I think it's it, you know, harkens back to the old era, but it still sounds like something that people are doing today. And that, I think, to your point, is the timelessness of the Delta-ness. So
yeah, that's the whole point. You know, you want to take it, like, even when you go retro, and I want to encourage a lot of you know, my peers, because what happens is they do stuff retro and it's too retro. You know, this isn't 86 anymore. This isn't the 90s anymore. There's a sonic level of excellence out here now, where we're not talking about the music, we're talking about the way it's produced. And from our era, we didn't use a lot of effects. There was a reason for that. The effects weren't very good for rap records. They sounded fake. The effects in this day and age are massively better. You know, they sound real. So don't be scared to touch the effects. You know, the kids like that good dimensional cleanliness they're hearing. And what these artists considered garbage music, but it's an appreciation because of the quality that is made at, the level is mixed at, and these are the things that a lot of people from my era are not adapting to. They still think you can mix a record sonically like you did back in the 90s, and it's crazy.
Now with Boogie Down Productions and Criminal Minded, I know you've talked about it, but what specifically did you do versus what Scott did versus what KRS-One versus what D-Nice did to create the sounds and the beats and the music on that album?
Well, what happened was like it was like either Chris or Scott would have the idea, and it would be either me or D-Nice who actually produced it. You know, like for instance, the P is Free. That's, well, wow, we got a story. Because actually the P is Free wasn't even for Chris. Like, you know, Boogie Down Productions was more than just KRS-One. So there was an artist, one of KRS's old partners who we don't talk about for whatever reason, but Scott had promised him he was going to, you know, do a joint for him. So we were in the studio, and this dude, he kept hounding Scott. Yo, you never take care. So Scott gave me the Yellow Man record, and he said, Ced, you can do something with this. I took it, and I put the P is Free beat together in like 10 minutes. So the kid went in the booth, and he laid down his lyrics. They were okay, but it was nothing knock you out. So Chris had that look in his eyes. Scott had that look in their eyes. They looked at each other's. They went to the corner and started talking. Then they brought me in the meeting. They said, hey, Ced, we're going to let him finish, but when he finished, Chris going to go in and do what he does. So it became a Chris record, but that's how it was. They would have an idea. They would bring it to me. So the only thing that I didn't touch was I didn't do South-Bronx. Didn't do my 9mm. I didn't do Elementary and Criminal Minded. Those four I didn't do anything on. But everything else I, you know, did my magic like Poetry. You know, that was a James Brown record. I chopped it up. See, I would take it and make it more than what the record was. That's what I did. Otherwise, it would just be their production. If I did exactly, you know, if I just took the record and I looped it, then I was just merely an engineer. I was the guy who knew how to work the machine. That's all. That's what a lot of people get confused later on. Like there was an argument about Eric B. as president, who produced it, because, you know, Eric B. had the original idea of Over Like a Fat Rat with Funky President. But Marley took it and he used the Impeach the President drums and he played the keyboard by hand. So they both produced it. But see, one wants to take the credit from the other. You know, you understand? Because without Eric's idea, Marley would have never done that. But without Marley implementing those different sounds, maybe the record isn't as impactful as it was. We don't know. So it's a collective thing. So that's what it was. It was a collective thing where they would give me the ideas. I would chop it up and rearrange it. And then Scott will overall all of it. You know, he'll say, this is how you know, he will arrange everything. So it was a good package.
Well, that leads me to several questions, but it's interesting because, you know, the dramatic change that the group had, obviously, when Scott got killed, but for you, that up to that point in 86, 87, with sonically your stuff being so hard, but then the ones that you didn't do had the lyrically, especially the super harder lyrics. So how and why do you think it ended up to where those super harder songs you weren't on, whereas a lot of your other stuff was super hard sonically and forceful like that?
That's life. I mean, that's stuff you can't control. You know, it just happens, you know. But it is what it is. And once again, it's the labels. Chris and Scott was on a label where it was ran by criminals.
B-Boy Records.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, in the end, they assassinated Scott. Yeah, that was assassination. You know, the shooter was in place. He was on the roof. They had this cat in the car named RoboCop, who was an ex-bouncer at the Latin Quarters. The beef was squashed. For no reason, he got out of the. He was told, he was given orders to make sure there's an incident for this guy to shoot. Beef was squashed. Everybody was laughing, having fun. He got out of the Jeep and slapped the kid for no reason. They got in the car. Bullets fly. The only one who gets hit is Scott. Bunch of people in the Jeep, 5 or 6 guys in the Jeep. Scott's the only one who gets hit. No bullets, holes anywhere else. He was targeted. Why? Jive was offering the label a buyout for the group. Warner Brothers wasn't. Scott had 2 deals in place. See, my boy Chris, I love Chris. You know, he's one of the arguably greatest MCs of all times, but Chris is very egotistical, very dramatic. He likes to just make up stuff for entertainment values. And there's nothing wrong with that because it increases your love affair with your fans. But Chris will make you believe that he got the deal with Jive. Totally false. Scott had 2 deals in place, Warner Brothers and Jive. Jive was offering more upfront money. Why? Because Jive with Zomba Music took all of your publishing. You got no publishing. Warner Brothers was giving less money because they was giving 100% publishing to the group. Now, me and Chris didn't understand that at that time. All we knew was your points from your royalties, which in the long run turned out to be the trash of the deal, that the publishing was the real money. But Scott was so far ahead of us. So Chris, being that he was in the man shelter, he wanted the more money because he was at Jive. So he didn't know the label was going to go to that extent to get rid of Scott. You know, he had no idea of that, but he wanted to go with Jive, you know, and I wanted to sign with Jive too, because in the overall, the way it was going to be was Ultramagnetic was going to become part of Boogie Down Productions. Scott was like my big brother, and he was like, yo, Eddie's not doing right. Roll, we're going to, you know, take care of this. I got the big production deal lined up. So they got Scott out of the way. The label got their money. Chris took the stuff over and finished it up with Jive and started BDP over there. And the rest of that was history. But they got him out of the way because Warner Brothers told them to go wipe their ass with a piece of tissue before they get anything out of them. And the contract was trash, so they knew they was getting nothing. So they said, we get Scott out the way, being that Ced and Chris want to go with Jive, that'll happen. And that's what happened.
Wow.
Yeah. It was assassination. Oh, the guy who smacked the kid for no reason disappeared, got out of town after it, got out of town. Never heard from again. Never heard from again.
Wow.
Disappeared before any police questioning, everything. They got him out of town.
Wow.
See?
That's crazy. Crazy.
Never heard from again. Nobody knows he's alive, whatever.
Man. You're blowing my mind right now. This is so sad.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But that's what happens when you deal with criminals, because, see, that was the whole problem with the whole thing. Scott knew they were criminals, and he tried to prepare me for them. He was like, after we did the album, he was like, he will come. See, it's my fault for what happened on the album with the crediting. Scott would tell me, Ced, did you go and make sure they say produced by Boogie Down Productions and Ced Gee? Did you go and tell him? I was like, yeah. You know, I did tell him once, and they was like, yeah, we got you, Ced, we got you. He's like, yo, you got to stay on them every day because they don't want to pay you. They're going to try to put it where you don't get paid. I already heard them talking.
Wow.
He said, stay in their ass, and I didn't. And to be honest, they did pay me, but guess how much they gave me a check for? when this album was sizzling. He met me just before Christmas. You know, he called me, said, "Ced, I got your check. Meet me down." You know, we met down on Canal Street. So I'm thinking I'm about to get broken off, 20, 30 G's. Guess how much the check was for? Just take a guess.
500.
I wish it was $250.
Wow.
He said, "Hey, the album isn't really selling. It's a lot of hype behind it." Then we know it's a bunch of shit because we had guys at stores telling us they needed to reorder.
Well, I'm going to tell you too, and I'm sure you know this, but I'm from Maryland, man, and down in D.C., they were remaking 9mm as a go-go song.
Yeah.
It was huge.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But
album cuts.
I got $250 out of it. $250 out of for all my hard work.
Man, that's horrible.
Yeah. But my brother warned me. I didn't take heed to what he was saying, so it's partially on me. He said, "Stay in their ass." He said he'll call me every day. "Yo, did you go over there? Did you tell him? I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm going," and I wouldn't go.
Wow.
I thought, I took it that they were men of their words,
So then, man, we could talk for 4 hours about all this. The crazy thing is then, so you think that the whole argument with D-Nice and the girl, is that all like staged, all of it?
It might have been. I don't think so. I think there was an argument. And what happened, like I said, see, the dudes were criminals, so we was, especially them, they was practically living at the office. You heard what I'm saying? So if they're in the office and they're talking about, like right now, we could be talking about beef and somebody's in here, they hear about it. Yeah, Ced's having a problem. So they orchestrated it all. See, they knew Scott. They knew, because I was telling Scott to leave the whole shit alone because they was getting ready to play in the Fresh Fest like 3 days later at the Garden. I mean, a week later. So I'm like, "Yo, just leave that shit alone, man. Just tell D-Nice, stay away from her, whatever." He like, "Nah, D live over there. I got to go over and squash it for him." And that's what I'm saying. This is why it wasn't fake, is because Scott got out the car. The beef was real. He squashed it. You understand? It was done.
Right.
And then this guy gets out of the Jeep for no reason and smacks him. See, the dude was told to make sure something happens. You follow what I'm saying? If it was fake from the beginning, the moment he got there, they would have just shot him and then the shit would have been over,
Right.
We just all have a story in place.
They just needed the appearance.
Yeah, so they needed, and that's why they had to let the kid out of jail, because how do you get smacked, run wherever, get a rifle, and run up to the roof and perfectly aim and shoot the wrong guy? The Flash couldn't do that shit.
Right.
So it didn't make sense. So they had to let him go. That guy was in place. It was a sniper. And see, it would have been better if they would have dressed it up, put a couple of extra bullet holes in the car. But Scott was the only one who got hit, and he got hit in the temple. That's a sniper.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like an accident.
Yeah, that's a sniper.
That's crazy.
I'll give you a perfect example. Like when Slick Rick had an incident at the castle years after, and when he got in his car and drove away, they were shooting at him, and you had a bunch of bullets. He didn't get hit, thank God, but he had a bunch of bullet holes in his car. See, so if you're just mad and you're just shooting crazy, where are the other bullet holes? Why is it just one guy? See, he was told, make sure something happens.
I got you.
They heard it. They heard what Scott was saying. Yeah, I'm going to go talk to him, D. And then they called him and said, "Yo, you want to make some money? We give you 10,000, He said, Then we give you a ticket out of town."
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah. They hung at that office too much. Everybody. It was like a hangout.
Right.
it's like what happened at the old D&D studio. Primo turned D&D into a hangout. And then later it got wild because it was just too many people in there who weren't recording.